my community? Jeff is here again. I'm decided to jump on this. I guess it can be considered a thread. I think more than one person has done it because the person I saw who did it a couple weeks ago got the idea from somebody else who did it. Don't know how many people have done it since then. But what I want to look at today is the albums that I have the most of, the artists in my vinyl collection that I have the most records of. Now, the one I saw was Record Hunter Vinyl Collector. He's a fairly new channel. Check him out. I have a link there. You can check out his channel. We have a lot in common musically. He has a huge collection. But he did 20, and it was a longer video. I'm sticking with 5, because what I did is I went through and looked at the number of releases. And I'm still fairly new, well, I keep feeling that way. But I started buying records again in 2017. We are now at the 6-year mark. Wow. Oh, not as new as I thought. I used to think I was such new into this. So I have a lot of holes in my collection, though, still. Even though my collection now, according to Discogs, is over 2,000. That includes 7 inches and all kinds of things like that, too. But still, I don't have a lot of those. But I look at the albums that I have, the artists that I have the most releases from. And, it's not surprising that these are all bands that have been around for many decades. But a lot of these bands are huge bands. Makes sense. But I was going through and I found that a lot of bands fell into you've got about 15, 16, 17 records by these bands. But there were 5. I went ahead and decided to cut it at 5. 5 bands that were at 20 and above. So that's where we're going. These are the 5 bands that I have the most albums by. Now, I'm not a major collector that buys multiple copies of the same album. So these are not, there may be 1 or 2 that have multiple copies because there was a, something different about the 2. But I'm not one of those that's going to say, I've got 5 copies of every one of their 5 albums, so therefore I've got 25 albums. No. These are bands that have been around a long time. They have a lot of releases. I have a lot of them. So anyway, let's jump right into this. Again, these are going to be all, I started with the lowest, and the lowest actually is at 20 records, and that would be Def Leppard. Now, I probably didn't have as many of these until when I recently bought the 2 box sets, which was probably more than a year ago, but I got box set number 2 and number 3, and those box sets have a bunch of albums extra. Well, yeah, it's not an extra, but they had the Rarities albums, the Yeah Part 2, and so that jumped my collection of Def Leppard to a large way, because all of a sudden I had these 2 box sets worth of multiple albums. So yeah, I love the newer stuff. It is a different feel, but it's the more commercial side, but still, I dig it. I love the newer stuff, and so I love all the albums. I love all the rarities. I love all the stuff that comes in that. Been a big fan since I discovered them on the High and Dry day. That was when I discovered them, was High and Dry. Anyway, love that. And of course, On Through the Night, I'm going to show that. I'm just showing 2 from each of these. I'm not showing all the records, obviously. High and Dry, On Through the Night we went back after discovering High and Dry, went back and got this. And this to this day is still high up there. It's got some of the best. The guitar player in my band and I, big into this album, and so he'll start playing Wasted on the guitar and I'll kick in. There's just so many songs on here that Hello America, so many great songs on here that are just solid rock songs. If you only know Def Leppard from Hysteria on, you got to go back. Even Pyromania is a huge album, but you would see that they were starting to cross over. They were going into, it was a majorly well-produced album. They were going a little more commercial. First 2 albums, you've got to love if you're just wanting some solid, raw, hungry young kids doing some hard rock. And this is where it starts. You got to check that out. I discovered that there was only one Def Leppard album, one studio album that I didn't have. The most hugest album, Hysteria, is the only one I haven't had. I never could find the first box set. All of the first few albums I've got are either OGs or reissues. And so the other day I got a gift card from, where did I get that? From Amazon. And so I went ahead and took the discount off of Hysteria, and it's coming in the mail tomorrow. But yay, that'll pretty much complete my studio records by then. All right, Up next, this band comes in at 20 also. And I think a lot of this, even though I don't think they have 20 studio albums, a lot of it is because this band, like so many others, we're talking Iron Maiden, are one of those bands that puts out an album, puts out a live album, puts out an album, a studio album, puts out a live album. It seems like for every studio album, there's a live album. And so there's a lot of live material. Now, I did look back and I realized that I've got at least 3 of the main live albums that I don't own. Rock in Rio, the in Vivo, whatever that was, and the Beast one. Beast on no. Well, I don't have that either. Yeah, there's quite a few that I don't have. But of all the ones I do have, and I don't think I have a lot of bootlegs by them. I don't think I have hardly any. So I do have 20 albums, and that's, you know, most all the studio albums. And I think there's a couple I'm missing, and then a lot of live albums. So there you go. This is one of the most recent live albums, Nights of the Dead, live in Mexico. Triple album set came out a while back. But for me, now I discovered them back in the Number the Beast days. That was when they really came on my radar. But Peace of Mind is still, to me, a high watermark. Now it's rough to say Number the Beast, Peace of Mind, Power Slave. That's my trifecta. That's my trinity of Iron Maiden perfection. Not that other albums aren't great, but to me, that's my growing up time. That's when I was seeing them live. That's just the high watermark for me. So, and this album especially. Now, recently I was in a band. I showed a clip on my page a while back that plays a lot of 80s metal. That band was asked to do a tribute show for a guy who passed away who really liked Iron Maiden, and we were learning a bunch of Iron Maiden songs. Now, just yesterday, that show just got canceled. But in the process of about the past month, I was in the process of learning about 14 Iron Maiden songs. And so, yeah, we played a couple of them live this past Saturday night at a regular show. But anyway, love the stuff from this time frame, and it was just great. Now, up next is a band with 22 releases. Now, I was surprised because I have a lot of holes in the early years of this band. These albums, while they do exist, you can't touch them for under $100, $200, $300. They're just, it's crazy. The only reason I think that I was able to have so many in my collection is because in the recent 2 or 3 years, they have been reissuing on vinyl a bunch of their official bootleg series. I'm talking Dream Theater, one of my favorite bands. I have so many CDs by this band, have been a member of their fan club for decades, and have used to receive CDs all the time. Bought all the official bootleg series, everything I could get my hands on, without necessarily buying a lot of the really booty bootlegs. But I'm talking more of official releases. I have so many on CD. A lot of those official bootlegs that Mike Portnoy used to release on his own label have now started to appear on vinyl with some others. And I have like 7 of these, and there's 3 or 4 that I don't even have. So that boosted my collection, even though I'm missing a lot of pivotal studio albums by this band. The fact that I have 7 of these and some other things in my collection has boosted it to 22. This is Master of Puppets live in Barcelona 2002. They used to do these nights with Dream Theater where they would do like their regular songs, and then they'd have like a whole set where they would do a whole album by another band. They did Number of the Beast, they did Dark Side of the Moon, they did Master of Puppets, they did Live in Japan, the actual live album by Deep Purple. They've done a lot of them. Some of them are starting to come out on vinyl now. This is great. It's just Dream Theater's take on Master of Puppets. One of the studio albums I do have, which I absolutely love, this one and the predecessor, are 2 of the high watermarks, in my opinion, of the Dream Theater masterpiece, double record, amazing albums. 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. And yeah, a lot of these have been reissued on music on vinyl. I was able to get this one earlier on, but a lot of the other ones that are in this time frame, the earlier Mike Portnoy years, a lot of those albums are untouchable for me, price-wise. I hope and pray one day they'll reissue them maybe. But for now, I got what I got. There you go. Love that. Now, up next, jumping into the 30-something part band. We're getting into the 30s now, and that would be Stryper. This is their latest. So the Final Battle, they've been around since the 80s. This is their latest, just came out last year. And so I've been a big fan since day one. Okay, maybe not since day one, since year two. I don't know. I discovered them after their first album came out in '84, but they had been around for a little longer. But great stuff. Still a fan. Love them. And so I have a lot of their stuff. Now, this is a band that I have a couple. I've got like 2 copies of this on color. I got 2 of another one because they reissued it on a different label. I've got 2 of another one because they reissued it on a different label. All those ones that came out on Church of Vinyl. I think that's who put them out. And I've got some picture discs, which I'm not even sure I counted that in the 31. Some 12-inch singles, things like that. I have a ton of Stryper stuff. And so here you go. But yeah, for me, it all started back in 1984 with the Yellow and Black Attack. And I do have 3 copies of this because there's a black copy with the wrong cropping, there's a yellow copy with the wrong cropping, and then there's a black copy that has the actual proper cropping like this one. So Stryper, absolutely big fan. Number 1 band, probably not a surprise to anybody who's watched me for any length of time, and that would be Kiss. I have over 40, I have 41 at least, and in count, of various Kiss albums. Another one of those bands that has done a lot of live albums, but not quite as many as some of the predecessors I mentioned. This is one of the latest that I got this maybe 2 weeks ago. I don't know if I showed it in a video. They've been doing these off the soundboard mixes, and I've been trying to keep up, but they're kind of pricey because they tend to be 3 albums or so. I think one of the only ones I think there's only one that I'm missing. That's the more recent Live in Des Moines, Iowa. It's a 2-record set, but it's still in the upper 30s. I'm waiting for it to hopefully drop. This was one where I believe I had a discount for some reason, and I said I'm going to buy this, and it brought the price down, or it dropped or something. This is 1996, so this is going to be part of that original. It has Ace and Peter, the reunion show, so it was great to have this. Great stuff. And I have that, and then, but for me, it all goes back to this era. I discovered them with Love Gun. This was the live album that I bought before I really, as a youth of 12 years old, ever went back and bought the first few albums. To me, this is the look, this is the feel. These are the costumes that just bring back all the memories. 1977 era, those costumes, that stage show, this live album, to me, is just amazing. Now, I love all the earlier stuff. I love all their stuff. But to me, this is what I gravitate towards because this is my foundation. When I got into Love Gun, this album had been, probably just released, and so these were the starting points. And so yes, there you go. That is great stuff. I have so many of their albums, and very few. I don't think there's any duplicates there, and very few bootlegs or anything like that. So they've got a lot of albums out, and there's still, I think there's still probably a couple that I'm missing. But anyway, that's it. Just some fun stuff. What's the most albums you have by an artist in your collection? Let me know below, and I'll see you later. Rock on and rock hard.